In this episode, we're going to be looking at the updated version of the Waves StudioRack. New out today. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you haven't, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and of course you can go to producelikeapro.com and sign up for the email list, get a whole bunch of free goodies. And there's also a bell down there, like a notifications bell, which you can hit, and you'll be notified when there are new videos. So lots of people do these rack systems where it's like a 500 series rack, isn't it? You sort of open it up and you slot in the plugin. What this is doing is it's thinking a little bit more like a matrix system. That's my naive assumption, not what they say. Meaning I can put all of these plugins in, but then I can access them in many, many different ways. Two features that are really, really nice, that are new, are the multiband feature, meaning I can stack plugins in a row, and each plugin can affect a different band. I don't even know if we can scrape the surface of that in this video. Probably the other function, I don't know if we could scrape the surface of as well. And that's the macros function. The macros function is going to allow us to take multiple plugins and have one macro, one single rotary control, which controls them all. Cool, so here I have a drum track that I've bussed to a stereo bus. Pretty loose, natural drum track, no samples, you know, bit of reverb on the snare. Let's grab the Waves StudioRack. So here we have the rack, the macro, which is what we were talking about earlier, is this single control. So you got an input, sensitivity there, plus or minus 24 dB, so a lot going on. Let's just play it for a second. I love how it's a gain reduction here. So like it has in the faders in Pro Tools, no matter what plugin you put on there, it shows the amount of gain reduction going on, which is nice. So when the plugins are closed down, or you're just viewing it like this, you can see the gain reduction. Okay, we're hitting it pretty hard at the moment. Okay, so, oh wow. So I've got this parallel split and this multiband split. The parallel split allows me to split any chain at any point into parallel processing racks. The easiest way and the fastest way to do parallel processing. So if I just hit that there, oh wow, it's pretty awesome. And now I can keep going 3, 4, 5, wow, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 parallel tracks here. So I hit this W button here, it's wide, and it's the old S1 stereo imager. Look what it does. Pretty darn nifty. So you may or may not want to use that, but it's built in there. I mean, this is looking like it's going to be super versatile. Let's see though. I can make it stereo, left, right, mid, and side, so I can kind of do some fun stuff with it. You can solo, obviously, the plugin, and of course, you can flip the phase up here, reverse the polarity. I've got this on a drum bus where I have in Pro Tools 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 slots available. Now I have 8 slots of parallel processing, each with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I have 64 potential plugins plus the widener on there. Now, I know that's completely nuts. The likelihood of me using 64 stereo plugins on a stereo bus are pretty crazy. And then times that 64 by 10, 640 plugins now are possible on a drum bus. It's not going to happen, but it's nice to know that you can, if you want, do whatever you need to do. Pretty nuts. And I suppose for those of you that are really into like sound design stuff, once you get into this and you get quick on this, it could be pretty powerful. And look, there's the multiband split here. Oh, look, the multiband split came up as well. Oh. Plus, plus, plus. And there's 5 of those. And look at the default. I've got the 92, 545. These are center points, 4K and 11K. So I've got a multiband split there as well. On the drum bus. So I'm going to take that off there. I can remove it from here, and then I can add it, of course, here. So that's crazy. So the multiband split can also be used inside of the parallel. I mean, I'm scraping the surface and just talking about it here. I'd be very interested to see, those of you that are Waves users, how you're going to end up using this. So for our first one in parallel, why don't we just do something obvious and grab some dynamics? So look, now I've got all of my Waves dynamic plugins down here. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely silly. So I suppose let's go for a good old-fashioned 76. Nutty. So we went to the all buttons in there. So now we've got the all buttons in, absolutely insane parallel processing. Okay, so let us turn on this one here. So now what's really interesting, and obviously this is getting super loud, so why don't we bring the output down? Now turn on the second one. So here's our dry, and here's our, and obviously I can do this from the plugin as well. Turn it off. Okay, why am I enjoying this? Why is this good? Initially, what's exciting about it is I'm not creating a whole bunch of auxiliaries. It's just all there in one go. So what I have now is the ability to have, like, with all the parallel processing, is have the drum crush, maybe a drums distortion, the clean one. Like, I wonder what, so basically I can drag this over here, for instance. So now that was easy. I didn't even know they could do that. So I just dragged that over here. So my clean one is going to be the first one. My second one is going to be my trash out. That's really kind of useful. So why don't we turn that off for a second, turn on 3 here, and turn off 1. A harmonic here. You know what? I really like the buzz stomp. Stupidly simple to use. Bring in the parallel. Now bring in the dry. Here's dry. So dry signal on its own. Distortion. I like that. It's still not exactly what I'm looking for, so I'm going to grab a delay. Grab the delay stomp. So let's listen to that on its own. I love the fact that I don't have to create solos that are in solo safe and then unhighlight them and send from pre-fade so that I can hear it. Now I just turn it on and off. You know what I mean? How much time that's saving me? Because if I'm creating buses and I'm doing pre-fade sends, I'm going to pre-fade so I can mute that channel and only hear the other one. Now I just turn it off all in one place. This is going to be a big time saver. Okay, so here's the stomp delay. I'll sync it. Send the mix to 100. love this stuff. This stuff is great. This is just making life a lot easier. This is going to be a really, really useful tool. H reverb, good old straightforward reverb. Bring the time down, I don't know, second and a bit. Bring the wet dry down so it's drier. Bypass, turn it on here. Obviously, I'm minutely scraping the surface here, but this is going to be really fantastic. Now, if I go to the multiband here, so I've got all these things set up on different EQs. I'm going to turn off the parallel for a second, so I only listen to the dry drums. I want to see what it just does to that. So on the low end only, and of course, this is changeable, which is nice. On the low end only, I'm going to grab an EQ. And if you know what so many of us love on the low end of EQs, it is the API 560. It's already, allowing us to shape the EQ. Now, of course, this is only functioning in those areas. It won't really matter about turning the high end down. However, it's up 550, which is adjustable, but I'm going to scoop a little 250 out anyway on the overall drum mix. I'm going to boost a little 63, cut a little 31. Let's have a listen. Actually going to kill some 125 because that's where my bass is working. Now let's grab some compression on remember, this is just focusing on this end here, low end here. So I'm going to grab, I don't know, let's grab the API 2500, seeing as we're in API world. Yeah, it's more focused on just that super, super low end now. Really, really nice. Okay, so now let's have a listen to our second band. Now, firstly, with the widening, what's interesting is I could do the opposite. So I can narrow it. So now, everything on that super low straight down the middle, baby. No stereo imagery on that. Turn on all of these and drop it back in. I can see it's having infinite uses on a master bus. That's really nice. I've just monoed that kick area. I think what I want to do is listen to just the high mids for a second. High end. Back to the high mids. Maybe some soft compression on that. Probably an LA2A on the high mids. It's interesting. It's increasing the output, but it's making it a little tiny bit more aggressive. So I'm going to drop the output. It's really interesting. Oh, it's making those high mids really sweet. Bypass the whole plugin. Now let's put on our crazy parallel we were doing earlier. Before, I used to think that was a pretty good drum sound. Cranked up the low end ever so slightly, turned down the high mids ever so slightly on the LA2A here. Okay, so multiband split, parallel split. The multiband split is going to be absolutely fantastic, and you can move those around, but immediately I like what I was doing on the drums there, and I'm just having fun with it. Imagine, you know, getting stuck into this for a few hours. This is really a lot of fun. I feel a little bit like this, like I did with the Omni channel as well. When I first started playing with that, I really, really liked the thump feature on the Omni channel. Just kind of gave me some low end. I like all the EQ points. They were exactly defaulted to the area I used them in exactly. And very, very musical. This is quite intuitive. So this is definitely elevating the idea of the 500 series slots, you know, where you put the plugins in there, because that's cool. You know, I'd open it up and I could traditionally see 5 plugins or 6 or whatever comes in those kind of plugins that other people make. Here, like I was saying earlier, each one of these has a slot for 8. So I've got 8 and, you know, I can just click on it and here they come. So on the top of these is a thumbtack. So if I click on that little thumbtack there, it means I can go and press this one and it also stays up. So I can have these open while we're playing back and not only listen, but see what I'm doing. So parallel splits make a lot of sense to me. Multiband splits, I just like the way that they lay that out. Obviously, completely adjustable frequencies. So really, really cool. Okay, so let's check out the other function, which I've not yet used, and that is the macros. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stereo pair of guitars, and I've got this part in the verse. Let's grab the Abbey Road saturator. So let's just start by setting that up. All right, so I have a dry one here. It's already really awesome. I'm going to have to get really into this and try and figure out really fun ways of doing things. So I'm going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to put, let's not worry about a reverb yet. You know what, we will. We'll put a reverb on this saturation here just a little bit. So only the distortion, you know what, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to take the dry signal and put reverb on that. Keep it Abbey Road for the time being. We'll go Abbey Road Chambers. Let's take that pre-delay down. So now I'm bringing the drive up. Awesome. This is saving me opening so many different buses. It's crazy. Okay, we'll set up the third one. And the reason why I'm doing this on separate ones, you'll see in a minute, I am going to go for some harmonic stuff. Let's do the berserk distortion. And I'm actually going to hit the berserk sound. So I'm sorry, I just love that effect. It's absolutely insane. Let's go and grab a delay, just the H delay, something really straightforward. So let's go to the end of the song here. Okay. Now, let's go to the macros. So if I hit the little pin here, I'm going to pin it. So, you know, I'll come back from the macro for a second. So I'm going to hit the, we'll make sure both of these have been pinned. There you go. So now we can see them. Let's take the output, right-click it, and add it to macro 1. But before I do that, I'm going to turn it down so the output's pretty low. So let's just listen to that. I'm going to right-click on also on macro 1, the feedback control, and I'll bring that down as well. Now, let's go to macro. And you'll see, look, see both those controls here and here. Okay, so do you see what I'm doing? Now, if I go to my auto, macro 1, add, like this, you see where this macro is going to start really be worth its weight in gold. So I'll go from here, where this decay guitar stops here, out. So let's just take that section there. I've zeroed it out here, so whatever I do to turn it up, like this, is just going to go nuts. We'll make it increase as it goes out and then start coming down. So we'll get this. Bring in all of the elements now, go back to the rack. So now we have our Abbey Road saturated underneath our Abbey Road reverb, which is blended with the dry, and then this berserk over the top distortion going into, and I can show that going into the H delay. So we'll pin it, and you see they're both off at the moment, and let's have a listen. That was just absolutely freaking insane. So look, there you go in, 2 minutes, a minute and a half. First of all, the Berserk, by the way, if you don't have the Berserk yet, just get it. It's freaking awesome. It's just completely wrong. Let's have a listen. So you're into like insane Radiohead territory with this stuff. The Berserk plugin is freaking awesome. So, but look, that was all on a macro. And yeah, it probably is a bit too loud. It is what it is. So why don't we just bring it down a little bit? You've heard me say this before. Steven Tyler sat next to me here, face here, and I was mixing. And he wanted me to bring up a Tom Hamilton line. Tom had played this line. He was like, do 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 do, and he loved this line that Tom had played. And he's like, turn it up. And I remember turning up about 2 or 3 dB, and he's like, he had this, the face with smile this wide with tons of teeth. And he looks at me and he goes, if something's worth hearing loud, it's worth hearing too loud. And I just had to turn it up. I remember at the time thinking I was crazy. Now I go back and listen to the album. I'm like, aha, makes sense. You can see how the macro, I'm just completely and utterly scratching the surface. I think we're going to do a live stream coming up soon, and I'm just going to mess around with this. So watch the live stream and we'll just have some fun on it. Really, really cool plugin. Literally, I know I've said it for the 15th time, scraping the surface. So many fun things we can do. But ultimately, what this is that, yes, it's the similar idea that, everybody's doing, a 500 series style rack where you put your plugins. Yeah. First of all, you can put your plugins in depth. What do we calculate? 64 times, whatever. The point is like 8 slots of 64. It's insane how much we could do on just a Pro Tools thing. Nobody's ever going to use that. Or maybe they were if they were doing this insane 5-1 crazy mix of all this kind of stuff. But the reality is it's all going to be in one place and so much easier than when I'm doing all of these bussings. One of the things that gets a little frustrating with me, which I can deal with, but it's an extra step, is using sends set to pre rather than post. And the reason why I do that is because obviously I want to be able to turn the signal down while turning the effect up. Now, by having it in parallel, I can do that. And it's all in one place. I can turn up one thing while turning down another. The signal is going to multiple places because it's in parallel, but it's in one instance. So look, how many do we get on the parallel? Just to remind ourselves. 8. So here we can have 8 things going on in parallel, and we can blend up effects, bring them down, bring them up. You can set in the macros. So if you have staggered things, you want more distortion, less distortion, more, put in an octave, blend up the octave for a while, bring it down again, have it all available in a macro. I know with those of you that are really into sound design stuff, this will blow your mind. Frankly, it's the one thing in like EDM, dance music, that is just like many of us really need to get into. When it comes to like rock-based stuff, that's really where they're pushing the boundaries in dance music. This is going to make it a lot easier because this fits in with my, console kind of brain. And I think that that's where they're coming from. They're giving us great things to do, but they're doing it from a perspective of like, oh, how would a rock and roll guy or girl do this? So really smart. Again, for the 16th time, I'm scraping the surface. This really deserves a live stream, and I think we'll do a live stream either later this week or early next week, and we'll open up a track, maybe even this one, maybe a different one, and we will, we'll allow you to download the multi-tracks, and we'll mix using this. So, yeah, have fun with it. There'll be a link to go and check it out under here, so if you're interested in it, go and check it out. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all of your support. Please leave a bunch of comments and questions below. If you've got creative ideas, how you're going to use this or how, just let us know. I'd love to have a discussion. Talk to you soon.